Hey folks, this is Smartboard Tuesdays. I'm Jeff Seville, Executive Director here at CEI, and I have a very special guest for our first episode of Smartboard Tuesdays, and it is Sean Tierney, local celebrity in the web world here in the city of Phoenix. And we're here to talk today about the top 3 things we need to do when we're doing a lean startup.
To me, the lean startup represents probably the most promising development recently in terms of being a framework for systematically doing entrepreneurship, right? Like entrepreneurship is typically like this black art that some people are good at it and some people aren't, but it's never really systematized. And this is, in my opinion, the first advancement towards systematizing entrepreneurship. In the early days of a startup, it's kind of like being lost in the wilderness. And it's heartbreaking to see entrepreneurs never make it to water, right? Like as a startup, you survive based on your ability to make it to revenue before you run out of resources before that. So the whole goal of the lean startup is to systematically de-risk your startup over time. And so the first thing, like if you take anything away from lean startup, it's all fundamentally about risk mitigation. It's about like removing risk, the biggest threats to your startup, removing those from the table early on through experimentation and just accelerated learning. The name lean, contrary to what people believe, it actually comes from the principles of lean manufacturing, like Toyota. It's not about don't spend any money, it's about reduce waste, accelerate learning, and de-risk the startup early on. And so let me give you an example of this very thing. So one of the startups that I was involved with, this music company, we built the version 1 of the product, but we didn't truly know what people were willing to pay for. We just had a functional, essentially a prototype that worked. And so rather than go out and build a bunch of stuff, we conducted an experiment. We set up an extra step on the sign-up page once people had already had a chance to play with the tool and they were then asked to create an account. We inserted this basically fake pricing matrix, and we systematically varied the features on here and tested what people would click on. And it let us do things, we were able to test the pricing, we were able to test the presentation of this and what features truly mattered to them. And so before we ever built a line of code around these fictitious features, we were able to capture data on that and do this experiment. This is what's called the build, measure, learn loop. And the way that you do this is through conducting this constant cycle of building stuff, testing, and then what did you learn from those experiments? So start with the question like, where does the greatest risk currently exist? Then think about what would we need to learn to basically, how do we frame this as a falsifiable hypothesis that we can test to take that risk off the table, and then back your way into, okay, if we need to learn that, what experiments do we need to conduct to tell us that? And then just run those experiments. So the example that I gave you up here is just an example of an experiment that we used to get at the question of what do people truly want out of this product and what would they be willing to pay us for. This is a blank business model canvas. But basically what this is it's a single page method of capturing all the fundamentals of a business, and it lets you articulate your assumptions, and then over time you tweak and test things and prove or disprove hypotheses about each one of these elements, and it gives you a very easy way both to like codify your assumptions as well as to give this to someone else and be able to explain the business. So it's like the artifact that summarizes all the important aspects of the business on one page. So anyways, I mean, that's the lean startup in a nutshell. It is,
That's awesome. That's really cool. So what would be a good book for them to go learn more about this model generation concept?
Yeah, so this all stemmed from Alex Osterwalder's, it's called The Business Model Generation. Like in terms of other resources here, obviously Lean Startup by Eric Ries is a really popular,
another good book.
That's kind of a seminal work. And then if you're local, I guess I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, I was going to say promote your...
Lean Phoenix is a local user group. There's a global network of these groups called the Lean Startup Circles, and I run the Phoenix chapter, and that's a great place to come out to just in person. There's no substitute for actually being able to sit there with people who do this stuff. And Also, just come out to CEI. You know, we're starting to hang out here more and more, and there's people coming out that are well versed in this
cool
stuff.
collaboration spaces and so forth. Also, how can they find you on Twitter? Scrolling on Dubs? Is that
Scrolling on Dubs?
That's a whole nother segment we'll do sometime. So also check out Scratch Audio and Short Saleopedia. Thank you for our inaugural episode here at Smartboard Tuesdays. We're going to plan on doing this every Tuesday. We're going to have accountants, marketing people, salespeople, execution people, how to pitch for funding. All those are going to be right here in front of our Smartboard. We're going to save this image here, and as you see it scanning across, we're going to have this graphic located right below this video as soon as we get it pushed up. So thanks again. If you ever want to come out and learn more about entrepreneurship, come check us out here at CEI.